Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here at Tiger Tank 12, having to call me, I don't really care, and welcome back to World of Tanks, where we today are going to be reviewing a very special Tier 8 premium heavy tank. And no, I'm not talking about the IS-152K, which is not special at all. No, today we're going to be talking about the IS-5, which is also known as the Object 730. This is the newest addition to the Bond store with the KV4 Kozlowski, and I decided to pick up 10k of my bonds and utilize it on the IS-5. Now, back then, I remember this vehicle first came out with a campaign, I think somewhere around 2016 or 15. Back then, there was no object, whatever, the Defender was not around, there was no IS-3A, there was only the IS-6 and the KB5. Now, the IS-6 back in the days did not have a very good gun. Now, they actually did buff it a little bit, so I think the pen is now no longer 170mm with an AP shell. And that's when this vehicle came out, and I remember in Clan Wars there was quite a hype about it because it actually had 221mm of pen. It's running APCR and heat. Now, that's something very special. Up until they released the IS-3A and made it an auto-reloader, you can see that, yeah, IS-3A has the same gun and very similar specs. So we're going to be taking a look at the characteristics of this vehicle, then we're going to take it out for a spin, live gameplay as always, right? You know, just mix it up a little bit, can always just be like the best games that you have in the vehicle, so it's just not really a accurate representation of what the vehicle is capable of. You do kind of make mistakes, and that's exactly where you want to play the tank. That's where you want to show off, right? Because that's where you can see what it's capable of in certain situations where you really need to, you know, be actively and engage to see what you can do. So without further ado, we're going to be taking a look at this vehicle, and we're going to be comparing it to the Defender because it's similar in a lot of aspects, but it's very different in a lot of different aspects. So first and foremost, we're going to go over the first firepower tab, and you can see you're running a 122mm gun as previously mentioned. It is 221mm of pen at tier 8. That's pretty damn good. You have heat in case you need it. That's 270mm of pen. Against tier 10s, well, you're going to be able to shoot the weak spots on most of them and go through with the rate of fire with 5.64 rounds per minute, which is actually not too bad for a gun of this caliber. You can see I'm using the Bounty rammer, but it's not upgraded. It's also not an upgraded Bounty gun laying drive because I'm a cheap guy and I don't have enough credits running around, so I haven't upgraded them. The turret traverse speed of 25.6 degrees per second, or the gun traverse as they call it now. Yeah, it's nothing too spectacular. Your turret obviously does not turn around quite fast enough. The depression angles and the elevation angles are Soviet. 5 degrees is the best you can get. 17 degrees of elevation is the best you can get. It's a small profile, low profile vehicle, right? It's a heavy that's supposed to be up close in close quarter combat and, you know, fight in those cities and not be out in the field as that is the case on this little hangar mod right now. 2.73 seconds aim time is decent enough, I'd say, for the caliber, but you can see the dispersion at 100 meters is terrible. But the DPM, on the other hand, does make up for it. If we compare it to the Defender, we can see that the depression is not the same. You get 1 degree additional. The aim time is a bit better. The dispersion is a bit worse. But the DPM is better with 2201 instead of the 1877. But that probably mainly has to do with the fact that the Defender in my account is not the best. I have the Object 252U that I used to play because I was not a big fan of the Defender kind of skin. Hit points wise, 1,550. Well, that's quite competitive, I'd say. Average, you know, a bit more than the Defender. 120mm of hull armor front and the side, 60 on the rear, 201 on the turret, 129 on the side, 60 on the back. Now, this is the thing. If we compare it to the Defender, which has 130mm at the front part of the hull, there are some distinct differences. The turret armor is also a lot better than the IS-5 with 250 instead of the 201. The thing is that the hull is shaped differently. The hull that you can see right here, it's a pike nose design, right? This used to be the IS-8 back in the days with the hull, at least. You can see it's quite flat. It's not as aggressive as the IS-7's kind of pike design is. Now, if we take a look at the Defender and we just, view it in the garage, we can see if it actually loads. Wow. It is a way more aggressive and more defined pike nose design than the IS-5 has. The problem with this is that this vehicle already is quite low and small. Anything that's above you can just penetrate you from the front. So the hull armor 120 is really bad. The pike nose design does not work out, especially at tier 8 and tier 9. You got a lot of trouble if you want to brawl. It's a vehicle that does not take hits very well, and I've noticed that. That was the first thing I first saw when I played this tank, and I was like, wait a minute, that's nothing as I expected it to be, with being similar to the Defender, but turns out, yeah, it's not as good. Turret armor is the same. You have those cupolas on top that are very easy to hit. It's very round and flat on the top. You can go through that very easily. It's 201 millimeter, right? You can go through like the side right here next to the gun mantlet. I've been penned there a couple of times. So yeah, you have to be very careful with this tank. It's not a Defender. You get punished if you're too aggressive. And I think, yeah, it's balanced. It's how it should be. Moving on, we can go to mobility. 42 kilometers going forwards. Now, that is decent, but nothing too crazy. It's like a lot of Soviet heavy tanks have like 42 or like in the 40 range kilometers going forwards. Maybe not this. The Defender is 35 kilometers per hour, but it still takes you a while to reach top speed. The traverse speed of almost 30 degrees per second, or 29.29, is decent enough, but nothing to write home about. And the concealment is obviously bad, as it is a heavy tank, and the view range is pretty bad as well, since I think the basic view range on this tank is 360, and you can see I don't really have a lot of going for that, a lot of that going for me with the current crew that we have. So all in all, it seems to be a tank that does not fare very, very well in close quarter engagements where it has to go up against other tier 8 heavies that are better armored. For example, the Defender, for example, the VK, the VK line. But the gun is decent enough with a little bit of a bad accuracy streak in it. So what can we make of it? It's a vehicle that is a very good supporting heavy tank, I've noticed. If you pair it with a couple of medium tanks, and you go up against some mediums, for example, you can bounce a couple of shells and, still support with, hard-hitting gun and a little bit of enough armor against tier 8s, mediums at least. But against heavies, you get overwhelmed quite easily, and you have to be very careful. So my verdict when I, played the first couple of games was like, I just drained 10k bonds for a vehicle that was not very good, but I know that the Kraslavsky is not very good either. So it's a very weird kind of tank, which you really have to be very respectful of when you play, because you have to be very, very careful. I've noticed that it just doesn't couple very well with Soviet tanks, that there's a tank that doesn't, do as well, or is able to withstand a lot of shells, or hit very hard. It's kind of mediocre in that aspect. So it's not like a T10, which doesn't have a lot of armor. Yes, per se, I agree with that. The turret is quite heavy, quite difficult to pen though. But the gun is very punchy. It's a very, very good gun. On this thing, it's a bit more difficult, to say the least, because the gun is not as good. The armor is not as good. It's very mediocre, and it's kind of a problem, at least for me. So we're playing on Cliff. We have 2 artillery pieces. This tank is very, very much in danger if artillery is in the game, because what ends up happening is that arty does like to focus this tank because it's rather large and the armor is not too thick. You're going to be able to actually go right through it. And we're going to get spotted right there. And it's already a pretty bad start to the game. As you can see right there, a Progetto, well, 2 Progettos just teared us up. Yeah, and it's just one of those freaking maps. That's why I like to have medium tanks to actually, you know, challenge for that spot over there. Because if we don't do that, we kind of get shot in the side. I think it's a lot worse on this this side of the map than it is on the other side. But yeah, I still like this map per se. But still, I mean, let's talk about it. This thing has 120 millimeters on the side, and you did not notice any of that when the Progetto 46 did that. Basically, it has to do with the fact that this vehicle does not have a lot of space armor. It's not like one of those bloody IS-6 tanks that has so much space armor that, you know, it's unhealthy. Turns out it doesn't have a lot of space armor. This 53 TP is quite dead in that position if it keeps on pushing. So I think our best bet at the moment right here is I don't even know at the moment. I have to think real fast. I think our best bet is to actually fall back a little bit, use this rock, maybe, because this 53 TP is going to be dead any second, and we cannot face the IS-3 and the Object 257 by ourselves. And we're going to get flanked over here as well. It's a bit of a mess, but we actually have killed 5 of their tanks and they have not knocked out, well, they've knocked out 1 of them now, but things are not going too bad at the middle. We're in the middle at the moment, but we are lacking a lot of HP, and we have to be very aware that there's a Scorpion G over there. He might just be looking down at us. Jesus Christ. As I already mentioned, accuracy in this tank. Nothing to write home about. Absolutely not. Maybe should have waited a little bit longer. Gun depression. Nothing to write home about it. But still our T10 manages to take out the 75 right there. And I think I'm not going to be peeking any longer because I do not want to get, you know, catch the wrath of the Scorpion G in the back. And you can see how limited we were by those Progettos at the start, how they completely wrecked us at the beginning. We have a problem with going through the Object 257. We're still gonna have a problem now. We're just gonna fall back. Yeah, we don't have enough pens, so I'm gonna load a heat shell. I'm gonna keep a track though, so that our Scorpion G can do something, hopefully. God, we gotta keep that pike nose safe. And how fast the tables have turned, it's pretty spectacular how quickly we've just lost all of these tanks that we had just a moment ago. Artillery just coming in to help us in that time of need. And there we go, we actually bounced the IS-3. We do not have any repair stuff, so... Damn it, we bounced him again though. We're gonna switch over to APCR. I'm a one-shot for him, he's a one-shot for me. Basically, let's say he's a one-shot. Oh god. I have to angle my rear as well. Hope someone punishes this guy. I have a feeling that something is going to rain on top of me any second now. I took like a really long time to really aim that shot in and not be too, you know, too rash. And we are able to actually take out the IS-3. Still, we've lost a lot of HP, especially at the beginning. Oh boy. But we are lucky. We get some bounces right here and there. I know that the M46 is quite a fast reload, so we have to pick him out. Not fast enough though in the end. And I think we managed to bounce one off our upper glacier right there, and that's something that you want to see. He actually bounced the APCR as well. I think he got really unlucky because of the angle right there, because it's kind of flat. Then angled upwards. Unlucky, unlucky. There is a Scorpion G over there, which I am absolutely not too happy to share my HP with. So we're gonna just blind shot that guy. Well, actually not. I'm gonna wait for that. You know what? Blind shot it. I think we just hit him. That was probably a hit. The aim time, look at that blue. There we go, we hit him again. 0.43 accuracy at 100 meters. Okay. Yeah, he's dead. Ah, we hit the rock, unfortunately, right there. This was actually a good game in the IS-5. Turns out we were able to hold our corner right there. By a little bit of, you know, skilled maneuvering, we kept our cool. And with a bit of our help of our artillery right there, we managed to stay safe and take out the Object 257, take out the IS-3 as well. Oh, and we finished the daily mission. Yay! So I'd say that was a successful kind of game right there. As long as you were in cover with it, 2,369 damage. You could do better than that, obviously, but as you can see from the 3 mark, 2,375 is already it's already a 3 mark, and you can see I'm not doing too good at the moment. So I'd say we're gonna play one more game, and we're gonna see if the armor is gonna hold up as it did in the last one. We got very lucky there with the M46 patent in that last engagement, but we still managed to win that one. Glad that we did. But now against tier 10, we're gonna be going up against these boys that will need some heavy loving from heat shells probably. Oof. E100, Leo 1, T110 E4, AMX M4, 54. Yeah, that's... I'm not looking forward to this game, I can already tell you this much. I most of the time only like to play like light tanks in a situation like this. A tier 8 light tank in such a game, you can do quite well. But as a heavy, oof, you're completely outmatched. We're going into the city with our mobility. Maybe we can secure ourselves a nice spot in the middle. We just do not want to be too aggressive. This is a pike nose design, so side scraping and that kind of fun stuff doesn't work. So we'll just have to adapt, overcome. No, what was it? Like improvise, adapt, overcome, survive. I mean, third armor is decent enough, but against tier 10s, I would not say it's going to hold up. Somebody else had like the exact same idea as me. Funny. Thought I was a very original kind of guy. Mr. Burask. Burask is already moving in there. You know what? I'm gonna risk it. I'm risking it. I'm going into the middle. I'm going to oh crap. Thought the Burask was going to light the longer. But maybe we can spot him. right behind that bunker. I can feel it. Well, okay, they was spotted us. Ah, there he is. Alboask is definitely dying. That is inevitable. And we managed to take out this Löwe, which allows us, since we know that there is basically nothing over there, to get into this position. Where we can actually do this. Now, they are in a very awkward kind of scenario where they're like, oh my god, that was dumb. No, sorry, my bad. But, you know, you're gonna wait a second. There's an E4. He can deal with the E3. These two brothers can fight it out. Oh, what a surprise! The E3 pens a E4. That is hauled down. Well, you're not gonna have a lot of fun, E4. But you maneuvered yourself into that position, and your team did abandon this flank, so that was quite a easy knockout with the E3. Scorpion G is moving over here. I'm hoping that the Conqueror is gonna move up, and I do not want any part of that E3. I do not want to get in his way. So this is actually an even better position than last game. Because we're hauled down, there's no artillery. Our turret can withstand some of the shots. The aim time is decent enough. I mean, for this kind of range, this is exactly why you want to play this tank. The rate of fire as well is pretty damn good as well, as you can see. We're putting some pressure on these guys. Lightly armored vehicles at tier 10 have a problem, you know. They're in trouble. Everyone else, well, I cannot pen that IS-5 unless I hit like the cupola on top. Well, I gotta be a real sniper to do that. It's just one of the things that this vehicle is absolutely not capable of. Okay, I'm not gonna... Okay, there we go. Hey, another hit. 2.576k aggregate damage with spotting, with shooting ourselves. There's a T-30 over there. We hit some kind of rubble, or like the little hill over there. Question is, how are we gonna spot this guy? Yeah, the enemy team, I just gotta be honest right here, they played this like really weirdly. They abandoned the other side here. They just stacked up over here, nothing on the field as well, except for that Lorraine. And they allowed a bloody E3 to flank them. Like, how do you allow a E3 to go around and do that kind of damage to you? That is unacceptable. Accuracy. That's us down for a second right there. Maybe we can get another hit on the Leo. I mean, that's easy damage. But this guy is not on the field. I just cannot fathom what the enemy team was doing. This was a complete disaster from start to finish for them. Oh boy. Oh boy, we got so lucky right there. Don't want to get penned by a super ISU. So we're just gonna dip, drive around here. He's dead. There's the T-30. Can we finish him off? 353? What a joke of a roll. Absolutely. Oh, he's still alive, actually. We finish him off. Aim time, decent enough for us in that situation. Wow, you can see what you can do, like what kind of damage you can do at tier 10 if you were able to outflank your opponents. And when everyone is kind of ignoring you as, you know, not really seeing you as a threat because you're a tier 8, But those games are really good. Like as I mentioned previously, a good support tank against like if the focus is not on you, you're a very good support tank. And yeah, certainly, enemy team. I do not know what they were doing. I have no XVM, so I cannot check. I do have some mods on, but XVM I stopped using it. And yeah, it turns out we cleaned them up very easily, and I think that's a decent rep. Still, 10,000, like 10,000 bonds for this tank, absolutely not worth it in my opinion. I know this game kind of tells you something different, like combined 3,874 damage or something like that. I know it sounds like crazy, it's a super good vehicle, but to be fair, 10,000 bonds is just too expensive. It's a unique tank, yes, because it's kind of a collector's vehicle. And you can see it right here, the premium credits that we make with this vehicle. 82,000 combined is like 90k in the end. And yeah, we did a lot of damage to these vehicles. I mean, the pen on this thing certainly is very, very cool. 220, 21. As you can see, enough against tier 10s even sometimes. But at the same time, it just does not have, like, it's not the best tier 8 premium Russian heavy tank. I mean, if you have no IS-6, you have no defender, and you're kind of looking at, you know, wanting to pick up a Soviet heavy tank and you maybe don't want to spend any money, this might be a good tank for you. It might be a good tank for you if you have no other tanks that you can unlock. For example, the Amex M4 M49L, which costs you 8,000 bonds, is better than this tank. It certainly is, because it has more armor. It's a different kind of playstyle, but it's such an aggressive vehicle that at the front is so well armored that nothing can really hurt it. Other than that, the T26 is a good option. The Guard is always nice. The Chrysler GF, even frontally, is extremely strong. The IS-5 just cannot hold a candle to either one of those three vehicles, because it's a different kind of time when this vehicle was released. So the Kraslavsky, obviously, I first was not sure which one I'm going to be picking. Turns out I picked the IS-5, and I think, yeah, that's totally fine, totally good. But I would have been disappointed if I not had any other vehicles. If I, picked this one out of a bunch of tanks, for example, just as previously mentioned, the Chrysler GF or the T26, and I didn't own those as well, I would have probably been pissed, because this tank, it does not hold the same kind of value as the other ones have. But at the same time, it's a unique tank. I like playing it still, even though it is not super strong. If you're the focus of attention, as we were not in the last game, you're going to be in the garage very, very quickly. But I still think that it's very dependent on the player and the player type. If you already own every tank, go for it. Obviously, it's cool. You can get it, absolutely. You can have some fun with it. If you don't have any of the premiums, I would not take this as a priority. It's not as good. It's not worth the 10k bonds, definitely not. The Kraslavsky is also not worth the 10k bonds. It's only worth for the tank collectors out there, and I'd say I'd leave it at that. Still though, I enjoy it. This was my best game, I think, up until this point, and obviously it's like in a live gameplay session where you point out that this tank is not as good, that, life just hands you a bloody lemon grenade and it explodes in your face and it shows off, oh, it's a pretty damn good game, works pretty well, right? You do so much damage. But it was basically just very bad positioning from the enemy team, and yeah, nobody bothered us. You could see I was not engaged once, except for the T-31s that penned us. Other than that, we were able to just free roam and take everything from them. So yeah, I think that wraps up this review of the IS-5. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. If you did not like it, dislike it. You know, it's your choice. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm gonna probably review some more vehicles. Maybe the Chimera. That is a super cool tank. Damn, this is a freaking amazing tank. Look at that. I have at tier 8 3079 combined damage, and it's not even enough for 65%. You need 3.2k. 4650 is needed per game combined damage to get like a 3 mark on this tank. Just shows you how good this tank is. And yeah, probably gonna review that one soon. And I hope you guys did enjoy. See you in the next one.